guys, what's going on? It's Gunnar here. Welcome back to the channel. Now today I want to talk a little bit about what I'm doing to hunt October effectively, right? And so there's a lot of different things happening in October. You've got that buck shift that's going on. You've got a lot of different changes in food that's happening. These deer are prioritizing different forages throughout the month. And at the same time, you have the pressure element of things, right? And so we've got new pressure coming in that these deer haven't felt all year. There's a lot of guys starting to get out in the stand. The weather's starting to turn. A lot of the crops are drying out, becoming less attractive. Food plots should at the same time start to really attract a lot of deer, especially if you've done them correctly and you have good growth, a good tonnage, and a lot of volume on those food plots. They should be pulling deer very heavy right now. And at the same time, you've got all of these bucks that are just starting to get into their fall ranges, where they're gonna call home for the fall. They're checking things out. You know, you've got this weather turning. These deer are triggered. They're starting to get antsy and a little bit irritated with the other bucks that they bachelored with all summer. You know, that weather's turning, their testosterone levels are rising, and these deer are ready to, you know, prepare for the rut, right? And spend their fall in that good quality habitat that they're looking for. So how do we go ahead and hunt this, right? And so there's a handful of different things that I like to pay attention to when I'm hunting in October. And the first thing is gonna be hunting cold fronts, right? You know, I'm not burning out my stands on 80-degree days when it gets to October. You know, I'm kind of getting over that little phase of trying to shoot a doe here. You know, we're kind of getting a little too close, in my opinion, to the prime time of the archery season to be going out and shooting does. And the last thing that I want to do is shoot a doe, maybe have something bad happen where I don't get a great hit on it. We have to track this deer for a day or 2 days, whatever it may be. That's the last thing I want, is have to blow up the property because of a marginal hit or something going wrong before I even get an opportunity at a buck and get to hunt those high percentage days in this month, right? So that's the last thing on my mind right now, is killing a doe. You know, we're getting a little too close to the prime time. If I was gonna kill a doe, I was gonna do it early season. Didn't have the opportunity. My old man killed one, so that's good. We'll wait till the late season. We'll wait till the gun season now, right? And so I'm paying attention to those 5-10-degree weather swings, right? We've actually got one coming tomorrow. It's about 80 degrees here right now. It's September 30th, October 1, it's gonna be low 60s for a high. That's a massive temperature change. That's gonna trigger a lot of these deer to get up on their feet during daylight. They're gonna be out in the fields early. They're gonna be hitting the food plots early. So those are one of those days that you're gonna wanna highly prioritize. Okay, how can I get in on bedding to food source movement? Because that's what these deer are still on, right? We're not into that pre-rut phase yet. These deer aren't chasing, these deer aren't checking things out yet. They're kind of shifting into their fall grounds now. We're starting to get more and more pictures of bucks that we've seen in the past that haven't been here all summer. But at the same time, they're still on that strict bedding to food source movement. So that's the line of movement that you're gonna wanna be hunting. You know, you're not gonna go into your deep bedding stands right now trying to catch a buck cruising a doe bedding area right now. That's not gonna happen, right? So we're still on that bedding to food source movement. And I'm excited because I'm gonna be kind of taking you guys through. I'll be kicking these videos out as we go through the month and showing you the progression of how I'm changing my hunting strategy as the different phases happen. As I see it happen real time, these deer start to shift from bedding to food source movement to a little bit more pre-rut activity to maybe straight peak rut, and then that lockdown phase, and then post-rut, right? So I'm excited to kind of share that with you guys, show you the progression of how this season is evolving, and at the same time, how I'm evolving and adapting with that, right? So, but in early October here, we're mainly hunting those big weather shifts, the food source movement, and we're keeping the pressure to a minimum, right? We're hunting very smart. You know, we still have an entire month of hunting that we need to get done without disturbing all of the deer on the property. So we have to keep that in mind, right? You know, it's a good idea to go out there and hunt when you have a good night, like is gonna happen tomorrow night. But at the same time, you can't overpressure the land to the point where all these deer are now educated on, okay, we're being hunted. That's gonna turn those movements off. So I'm focused on hunting cold fronts, hunting the food sources that are attractive at that time of the year, right? And so as we move into those food sources, you know, you're going to have a lot of changes, right? And so a lot of these bean fields are now browned out. You know, these deer aren't hitting those green leaves like they were in July and August. You know, they're kind of shifting off of those green food sources and finding what's still green, right? They're not highly attracted to those bean pods right now because it's not cold. They still have green opportunity with alfalfa and hay because it hasn't frozen out yet. And at the same time, they have food plot attraction too. But on top of that, it's the perfect time of the year for an acorn drop and apples at the same time. So we have all of these different evolving food sources that are changing deer behavior right now. And so everybody likes to talk about the October lull. I'm not so much a believer in it. I think it's just a massive change in attraction, food plot attraction or food source attraction, right? And so of course, guys that don't have oaks on their property or don't have stands and oak trees or apple trees, anything like this, of course they're going to think that the October lull is real because the deer are not on your property. They're not spending time on your property because they have 50 oak trees dropping massive amounts of acorns just across the line fence, and that's where they're feeding. That's their high priority food source right now. Or there's an apple orchard right down the road, 700, 800, 1,200 yards away, and that's where they're going. Of course you're going to think there's an October lull if you don't have the most attractive food source at that time of the year. So I'm not a huge believer in the October lull thing. Massive change in food source attraction, in my opinion. That's what I've come to notice. I want to talk about where I was sitting the other night, right? So the whole idea behind where I'm sitting this time of the year is strictly bedding to food source movement, where I think these deer are spending time, what the conditions are telling me, and at the same time, what's the highly attractive food source at this time of the year, right? And so all of that went into the decision I make to sit on inside corner with a strip of alfalfa about 60 yards wide that meets the edge of the woods. And that is screened by standing corn. And the entire hillside, the whole bedding hillside, is big over mature oak trees. There's a ton of turkeys over there all year round, and that tells me they're great big over mature canopy trees that these turkeys are roosting in, and at the same time they're producing a lot of acorns. And given the temperature of this time of the year, you know, it's kind of bizarre, it's really warm. And so those deer are still not seeking out that high stem count cover because it's too warm. They're still in the shaded canopy timber that's keeping them cool and keeping the bugs off them and getting that wind flow. So they're not in the thick, nasty brush right now. They're still in that over-mature timber, but conveniently that now has the acorns that are dropping. And conveniently that's located right next to an alfalfa field. And so I had all of these things tipping the scales in my advantage. I ended up seeing like 8 deer, one decent buck, looked like a 3-year-old. He came trotting through. I didn't get a great look at him, but that just goes to show that when you put yourself and you position yourself in the right locations with all the right circumstances going on for that specific time of the year, you're going to have a successful sit. You might not kill something, but that's archery. You know, you have to get a mature animal within 30 yards, and that's not an easy task. You know, you can watch deer all day, but at the end of the day, you have to get them within 30 yards to be effective with archery tackle for most people, me including. So I just wanted to bring that up because that's how I think, right? That's how I'm thinking about every single sit that I make. Okay, what are the pros and what are the cons of me sitting here right now? You know, what's going on in the woods? What are these deer doing right now? What do I anticipate them doing? And how can I get in there and hunt this without blowing up the entire property, right? And so that's another thing, is like hunting smart and safe but effective. You know, getting in the right location, getting in the right spot, hunting the days that are high priority, and at the same time just enjoying yourself out on the property that we put so much time and energy into. You know, this is what we love to do, is hunt. The last thing you want to do is have somebody online tell you, no, don't go hunt, because that is one of my biggest pet peeves. You know, I've hunted strictly by the weather before, where I hunted maybe a total of 5 or 6 times in October. You can go over the top with this, guys. You have to be in the stand to shoot a deer, right? You know, a lot of people say that, But there's a lot of conflicting arguments when it comes to, oh, hunt smart, hunt safe. You have to be in the tree stand hunting to shoot a deer. And so I've kind of shifted back towards that. You know, it started to feel almost more like a job versus enjoying myself and going out and hunting. You know, I was more concerned about, well, if I sit here, I'm gonna cause damage. Well, every time you go out, you're causing damage. And the deer are picking up, they're a lot smarter than us at detecting danger, especially in their own home. It's like if somebody walked into your house with muddy boots and it's been bone dry out in your yard for a week straight. You're gonna wonder, okay, where did that come from? What that's bizarre, right? And so that's how a deer feels when we go out there and hunt. You know, there's always gonna be a pressure element that we're putting on these deer. You know, you're never 100% safe with anytime you go out hunting. And that's just something we have to live with. But doing something that you love to do, you should have no regrets in doing so, right? You know, we're gonna make mistakes, we're gonna have missteps, we're gonna have failures, but that's how you learn. And going out and not hunting is not helping you make mistakes and learn from it, right? So yes, there is some truth to not over hunting, not over pressuring, not going in and sitting in the same stand night after night, especially on a poor wind, and especially early in the season when you don't have that high likelihood of seeing a buck that you want to kill. But you have to still go out and hunt to be successful. And you have to still go out and hunt to keep your love and passion for hunting alive. And so that's what I want to stress to you guys is go do what you love to do. But think about all of these different things that play in. How is this going to affect my deer movement overall for the rest of the season if I go in here and hunt this? What is the likelihood of deer being in this location during this time of the year on this given night? Does it make more sense for me to skip tonight and go tomorrow night because there's a 4 or 5 degree temperature drop versus it's been stagnant for 5 days straight if I go tonight? The last 5 days, the weather looked exactly the same. There hasn't been any changes. If I wait one more night, does that increase my odds by 15, 20% just by waiting one more night and sitting on that cold front night versus going tonight because I'm impatient? You know, I don't want to be that guy that tells you don't go out and hunt, because I've hunted 4 or 5 times already this year because I love hunting. Did I take into consideration the potential damage that it would cause the land for the rest of the year? Of course. That's why I tried to explain to you guys my thought process going into why I'm hunting different locations. You know, a couple of those sits were strictly inventory sits where I'm just trying to figure out spots that I haven't had a lot of experience with. I'm trying to figure out, okay, is this in the right spot? Is this tree stand in the right tree? Will I have a shot opportunity if a buck comes through here? When do I need to draw my bow? You know, taking all this stuff for a test drive before prime time gets here, and it is the heat of the moment. That big buck is 23 yards away. You don't know where to draw your bow because you didn't watch any does walk through here before, and you didn't know how many seconds they were behind this bush or how many seconds they were behind this tree before they turned and got on that other trail. You know, taking all these things for a test drive and at the same time not being rusty when it comes to getting all my gear set up, getting those jitters out of your system when you see that first deer, you know, keeping your movement low, you know, getting good again, you know, knocking all the rust off for the long off season, right? And so that's what I kind of wanted to go over. Like, all of these things play into how I'm attacking October. In my opinion, this is the best deer hunting month of the year. You know, you're getting all those shifting bucks coming onto your property again because they've been gone all summer. They're shifting back onto those fall range properties, the high quality fall food source properties. And it's very exciting because we're starting to see all of those bucks that have been missing all summer. They've been on their summer ranges. They're starting to come back. And now we can start to get back on those target bucks that we're going to be going after here in the next month, month and a half. And so pay attention to a lot of those things. Weigh the potential risks versus rewards. Go deep on, okay, why would this stand be good tonight? Why would this stand be good tonight, but especially this time of the year? How does this wind affect the deer in this area? How are they moving through here? Where do I need to draw my bow? How do I get in here safe and effectively? How do I get out of here safe and effectively? without causing a lot of disturbance, but at the same time, still having a lot of fun. Still going out, enjoying Mother Nature, enjoying our beautiful properties that we've put a lot of work in over the course of years, right? Me in particular, you know, this is 10 years in the making, you know, grew up here. I started getting into all of the habitat, deer hunting, food plot, all of that stuff, you know, I was a very young kid, and all of this stuff has a very deep emotional pull on me. And so getting back to my roots, getting back to, you know, giving myself a little bit of leeway to go out and enjoy what I've created here, what my family's created here, what we've put so much work into, not getting over the top, scared and worried about maybe blowing up a hunt, maybe causing some damage, maybe turning on a buck to a little bit of pressure, you know, understanding that yes, that's going to happen, and yes, there is another buck just over the hill. There's plenty of deer out there to kill, and at the end of the day, you know, we're out here for one reason, to enjoy nature, enjoy the outdoors, and for the love of bow hunting. So I hope that helped you guys using a couple of those different frames of understanding how to effectively hunt October. What's the whole goal behind it? What's ever changing? How to adapt with it? I'm going to be kicking out videos here as the season progresses, as I'm adapting to that deer behavior, that deer movement throughout the different stages of October and then through November as well.